In South America, Brazil, and like, you know, many people take a few years to decide what they want to do when they grow up. It took me 5 years to decide what I wanted to do. So when I was 5 years old, I told my parents, I know what I want to do. I want to draw comic books when I grow up. So my mother gave me and my brother some, sketchbooks, and we drew on those surfaces because she was concerned we didn't draw on the walls because we had a tendency to draw on walls and furniture. Then I loved drawing all the cartoons that I watch on the TV, like Fred Flintstones and Hanna-Barbera books and everything. And then later on, as I grew older, I found a school that taught comic book art in New Jersey, called the Joe Cuber School of Cartoons and Graphic Arts. As far as I know, it's the only school that it's specifically just for that profession. They also teach animation, but it is a very, very good school that as soon as I saw it, and because we didn't have since Brazil speaks Portuguese, usually the books go there translated in a different format. In order for me to check the original American version, I would go to the nearby airport and check the comics. When I was a kid, we didn't have the globalization as we have now, so books were way behind the current book in America. So when I was reading Spider-Man, and it was in black and white, translated into Portuguese, and it was the beginning issues of the collection. If I wanted to know what was going on in the future for us, I'd just go to the airport and take a look at the original American versions in black and white, in color, and then I saw an ad there about the Cuber School, and I felt, wow, God, this is the school that I want to go to. So I started learning English. So if I talk funny, it's because my first language is Portuguese. My second language is English. So I joke to my close friends that I'll be mute in a few years because I never learned enough of English and I keep forgetting the Portuguese. So it's like a challenge to save money to go to school, then learn the new language and convince my dad that I wanted to do that because he wanted me to get a real job, not draw comics. Awesome. The assistance of Wolverine.
It's a real job.
Yeah. So yeah, my dad wanted me to be either a businessman or a pilot in the Air Force, and I told him, no, I want to draw comics. That's what I enjoy doing. And so I went to the Cuber School in 1986 in Dover, New Jersey. And then from then, because I learned not only to draw but to letter. When I was 11 years old, I was already published in Brazil in a local newspaper. I had my own creation that I wrote, illustrated, and lettered, hand-lettered. And I had some practice in doing lettering. So when I went to the Cuber School in 1986, I was pretty good in drawing lettering. And I was already, when I was in America, my brother, who also broke in the business of cartoons, he was still living in Brazil, and he was drawing for a small comic book company called Caliber Press. And he didn't have time to finish some story that he initiated. And he told them, well, my brother lives in America. Why don't you guys contact him? And I got to do one story called Dagon, based on the H.P. Lovecraft's novels. And I was working on that, penciling, inking, and lettering. In case you don't know what that is pencils is the stage where you just draw with a pencil. And then inking is when you apply Indian ink or marker or whatever makes it printable. And it turns the pencil into something that it can be scanned and printed. And then letter is to draw the actual captions and the balloons and the conversation, the speech copy of the comic. So I was drawing all that for the story, and I was in the second year of the Cuba school, and I heard in the hallways that Marvel was offering a job to any third-year student graduating from the Cuba school, a job working in the production department for Marvel Comics office in New York. And it would be a position to be a ghost letterer, which is whenever you have a book and there's some grammatical errors or something that the editor or the writer decides to change in the story, the production department changes that and fixes that before it goes out to the public. So they had back then what they called ghost letterers, because their names would not appear in the credit box. They would be ghosting someone else's style of lettering or whatever needed to be done, and their names would not appear at all because they were hired just to do the production end of it before it got printed. But since let me just back up. I heard the Marvel was offering the third-year students of that job opportunity, but no one was interested. All the third-year students that went to the school, they usually go to that school because they want to be the celebrity of the book with their names on the credit page as a pencil or anchor. They didn't want to be ghosts. They wanted to be the real thing. So they were not interested. But I was a second-year student, and I had already been working on something for a small comic book company called Caliber. And when I heard that Marvel was offering that, the next day, instead of going to school, I went to Marvel. And I took my lettering assignments that that we took from the school. Hi Eisman, the guy who draws Popeye, he still teaches there. And he was teaching us how to letter professionally for comic books. So I took my Hi Eisman lettering assignments and showed to the Marvel people there. And I got hired on the spot by Virginia Romita, which is the wife of John Romita Sr., who was the art director back then in the 90s. And I called the school and said, I'm sorry guys, I'm quitting school because I'm working at Marvel. They were not very happy with that, I assume, but later on I went back to teach at the Cuba school, and I taught there for 7 years while I was doing freelancing, because remember I told you I was doing Dagon for Caliber while I was a ghost letterer at Marvel, and the editors, they could see that I drew as well as lettered, and they gave me so much work to draw that I got so busy I had to quit my production department job, and I went to work for myself as a freelancer drawing comics. Then I got recognized in the industry, and I went back to Cuba school to teach twice a week, training future artists like myself in the business. And I taught there for 7 years while I was still doing freelance work for Marvel and DC. Well, while I was drawing while I was teaching, there was a fellow teacher who asked me to draw something for his Christian book called Glory to God. And I drew Jesus carrying the cross, pretty much this drawing in black and white. And that drawing got published by this friend of mine. And later on, the same drawing was utilized in another Christian publication, Proverbs and Parables. And that led to an interest of another Christian publication to ask if I wanted to participate in a contest for Comics 35. And I submitted the drawing of Jesus carrying our cross and other Christian drawings that I put together, and I won the contest. Now, David C. Cook Publishers published the Picture Bible. I remember reading the Picture Bible in Brazil, in Portuguese, in black and white, back in the 70s. And I loved it. We had the different format that Americans had. We had the black and white, and they were 5 little booklets, small, instead of being a big book like this. But little did I know that I would in the future be drawing the revamp of that book. Because David C. Cook decided in 2006 to redo the Picture Bible. And while they were looking for artists, they came across that publication that Comics 35 put out with my drawing of Jesus carrying the cross. And when they looked through the book, they saw that illustration, and they called me and asked me if I wanted to do the Picture Bible. I said, sure. So I was already in Florida back in 2006 because I was invited to join a comic book company called CrossGen in Osmar, Florida. They made me a very good offer that I couldn't refuse, so I quit teaching at Cuba School and I moved to Florida with my wife. But 1 year later, they were falling under that company. But I was already a freelancer anyway, so I kept busy drawing for Marvel, DC, Caliber, Dark Horse, Image, and other publications and companies. I also did a lot of caricatures for bar mitzvahs and weddings and private parties and stuff like that. But that's how I got to do this book back in 2006 for David C. Cook. And I had no idea that this book would have been, it has become the most successful book of my career. Captain America, Batman, and the Avengers wish they were that popular as Jesus. Because this book sells like hotcakes, as opposed to the superheroes that they may sell well in a month, or one issue here, one issue there. But this book has been selling since 2006. Every month, top 10, top 5 of its category. So it just very neat to be able to travel because of it. I met people in Australia and India and Brazil. They invited me over, just like this convention, to talk to people like you. And I really enjoyed drawing Batman, Superman, Incredible Hulk, and all those icons that we love, saving us from the bad guys. But I really enjoy also drawing real, true heroes like Moses, Samson, Jesus, and I enjoy drawing, period. That's what I like to do. I'm happy and fortunate to have done this. And if you paid attention to my story, you will see that sometimes, if you want to break into any business, or if you want to have opportunity, if you want to take advantage of opportunities that come to you, sometimes you may enter through a window or a small door, or the back door. That's something that if you travel in the globe, you would notice that we are truly blessed in this country.
Yes.
We are truly blessed in America. If you go to India, if you go to Brazil, you see that thousands and are not as fortunate as we are here. And when you see foreigners coming to this country, they usually come. Usually, I'm not saying that everybody's the same. I'm just saying that usually, when you find foreigners coming and migrating, they come with a humble attitude of working and taking every opportunity as a good opportunity. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, when we are born in a land that has everything, sometimes we get spoiled. And we think that we got to enter through the front door with honors. And we think that if we want to win something, we better enter already as, you know, the guy. But sometimes it's better to pay your dues and to be humble and to be willing to work on something that's not very important, but somebody needs you to do something for them that could lead you to that real thing that you want. So if you're faithful in little, you know, I believe God places in higher and bigger spots. If you are willing to give, like I did for my friend who requested and could not afford an illustration for his book, then I believe that you are rewarded. Even atheists will tell you that it's good to give, because it just, they say it's a good karma. It just comes around. When you throw your bread on the water, it will come back to you. And so these are lessons that I've learned in my life. Even coming here, I had no idea how many Bibles to bring, and I kept interacting with Jason. And he said, "Oh, just order another case." And okay, and then bring as many books as you can in your luggage. Okay. And then in the airport, I was touched in my heart to give one Bible to mother and daughter. And some I didn't hear a clear voice, but I heard an impression in my heart and my mind, you know, give this one and it's going to come around. And I'm telling you, I've been selling a lot of Bibles today because of that principle. If you give something and then it comes back to you. You donate of your time, it comes back. You accept to sweep the floor here, and you drive a broom first, and then later you drive a whole department. I don't know. You never know. But just like a drawing that you give nothing for it. Okay, this is a permanent one, so we can use it here.
Yeah, they didn't give me a fake one.
They didn't give you a fake one, huh?
I got in trouble from the librarians for running too. So,
so we don't have any erasable ones?
unless they have one in here.
Maybe ask by the desk.
I'm,
Ask by the desk.
By the desk.
Ask by the desk.
You know, when you look at a house that's being built, you see the structure, and it doesn't look good. It looks like nothing may come out of it. But that's how it starts. You know, you put the sticks, you put the foundation, you 2x4s, and it doesn't look like a house, but it sure needs that to build on top of it. Just like drawings are like that, we draw a stick figure properly in the right places, and that's the foundation to draw on top. That's how your life is. You know, sometimes you have no idea what is going on with your luck, and you don't see how in the world something good can come out of it. But if you do that, which I believe, when you have something in your heart and you have a dream and you have a strong desire to do something, that's a hint of a Creator who gave you gifts and gave you desires and gave you passions to go after those desires and trust Him for the results. You do your best with what you've got, and when you're dedicated, you just you are rewarded with much more. Thank you so much for your service.
I have different colors.
All right, so this we can erase. See, so different colors is good, because then I can do this light one for the foundation. This is like a construction of, you know, a face. This doesn't look like nothing, but that's how I draw Jesus, Captain America, Incredible Hulk, Lone Ranger, and any character. You start like this, with a basic structure, you know, and you know where to put the eyes, the nose, and you have the line of the center of the face, and the eye line, and the nose bridge here, and the mouth. And if you're pretty much average person, you notice that your eyebrow line lines up with the top of your ear, and then the bottom of your nose lines up with the bottom of your ear. Now that's a way of knowing how to place the ear in here that is somewhat in the average. Of course, some of us, you know, have bigger noses and bigger ears, but the basic structure is there. And some of us are born with defects, and is unique in that way. But if you want to draw an average character for advertising or for a comic book, if you know the rules of the average, then you know where to place the right spots. Same with a builder that builds a house. You have the basic structure where to place the windows based on people's heights. I think people in Florida, in the beginning, they were pretty short people because the old houses are very low ceiling. So I like the ones that have you know, a high ceiling. But you build everything at stages, and that's the same thing with figures. So I have the basic structure, and then you finalize it, knowing. And the funny thing is, when I was a kid, and I was drawing Frederico the Detective, my creation, I was 11. I had no idea about printing. I drew the size you would print from. I drew exactly the size that the newspaper printed. I didn't know anything about drawing big and then being reduced for publication. And I didn't do any structure. I drew the magic marker right on the paper. I was fearless. And it's funny that as you grow older, you become more self-conscious of doing things properly, so people don't yell at you. How come? How dare you draw his nose this way or whatever? But the basic structure is there, and you know where to place, you know. This is actually like a eraser something. But there you go. So depending on who you decide this is going to be, if it is Captain America or Batman or any of those average guys who are usually handsome and usually well-proportioned guys, you know, you draw basically the same thing. You change the outfit and it becomes. Yeah, right now there's a big controversy in America about Ben Affleck being Batman. I'm not going to go there, but you know what I mean. He is more average for Batman than DeVito would be. Mm-hmm. So that is what the cartoonists look for when they're drawing characters. You know, you have your average guy who's going to be this structure, and the villains going to be different structure, and even caricatures you do like that. But based on the average, you can change the average guy to be now a prophet or Jesus. And you draw, you know, the mustache and the beard, and you give the nose a little bit prominence by being a Jewish nose. You know, darken the eyes a little bit. And We don't know how Jesus looked like exactly. We know that he was not handsome as usually people think and portray him. But
Sorry.
that's all right. And when the tools don't cooperate, you just do the best you can. And then use large tools like a brush to fill in the black areas. This book, the Action Bible, it has 750 pages. Took me 3 years to do. I was doing this and I was doing the Lone Ranger simultaneously for another company. And I was drawing another thing, Son of Samson for Zondervan, another Christian publisher. So I was so busy, I had my wife quit her job to help me. And so whenever you open and find, a heavy black area, my wife helped me with that. I would just draw axes and here, honey, fill in the blanks. And she formatted a lot of the pages, like scanning the pages and preparing them for publication with an application called Photoshop. And I draw all the pages in actual paper, but lately, in the last few years, I've been using a lot of digital. So people say, I use just digital, or no, I use digital as a tool, not as a substitute. So I enjoy learning every tool available to me. That makes me, that's another thing that I could share with you about being the best that you can in the area that you love. If people are using digital, learn digital. If people are using paper, learn paper. So that way, if you haven't opened a company, you know how to fix, how to have your hands in all things. Just like in construction, handyman. I enjoy learning everything about how everything works. Sometimes instead of paying $100 for an electrician, I fix it myself. That's me. Instead of paying hundreds of dollars for a guy to fix my computer, I fix it myself. That's my mentality. And I enjoy having control of my art. And that book, to get the job, I submitted a colored, lettered, inked, penciled page to the publisher. So I was hired to give them the complete package. That way I had full control of the product. And I learned that also from Joe Kubert, who created the school that I went to. He always believed in, if you want to be a penciler, fine. Pencil is usually the star of the comic book. But he taught us all the techniques of the job. So he would be ready to take in a lettering production job as going through the back door. And then once you're there, there's your opportunity. So sometimes the opportunities, they come dressed up in a funny costume that you don't recognize right away. So I used to tell my students, be nice to everybody. It's so sad to see on Facebook how people can get so nasty with each other. And there's no courtesy anymore. You just speak your mind. You don't care who's on the other line. But yeah, like that guy, very rude of him. He's the home run while I'm speaking. But you learn to be nice. I'll tell my students, be nice to your neighbor student. He might be your boss tomorrow.
That's right.
You never know. Be nice to your teacher. He might hire you to do something. You may be in need of doing something to pay your bills, and so there. I spoke too much. I'm sorry, but
no, you're fine. Actually, I was going to say we have a couple minutes here to do some questions if you you would like to do that.
That's what I'm here for.
We got some money in the bank. Go ahead.
Did you bring enough action Bibles? Do you have any left?
I have some left. Yes. Yeah.
He will actually, when we leave here, he won't be back to his table for about 30 minutes, but then he'll be there to sign until about 3:30.
Right. And I also have, I have my business cards with,
You can definitely get them at his table too. He'll have plenty at his table.
yeah, you can take one and pass them around, and I have more. But the Action Bible is also sold in the App Store, and bookstore, Books A Million,
Oh, and it's the
Amazon,
Christian bookstore here.
Walmart,
Yeah.
Sam's Club.
They're all over the place.
Yeah. Which is
Andrew
nice.
had a question?
Yeah, you mentioned that you have your average looks and bills that you do for the average man, but you said that if it was a villain, it would be a little bit different. What are some quick things that you would do different if you were drawing a villain?
Depends on the writer's specifications. You know, he will have a skinny guy who sometimes you have a handsome guy too. Sometimes it'll be an ugly guy. I'm just saying that usually, just for the sake of giving the lecture here, but the writer decides how he wants the villain to be. Not every hero is a handsome guy. Sometimes. Yeah, but you know what I mean. Usually, that's how you grow up. Yeah, when you see an ugly-looking fellow, somehow he's a villain. But it doesn't have to be that way. You know, what I'm saying is, whatever you determine to be, you should be distinctive in the way that you draw the different characters. So he's recognizable even in a silhouette, that you know how Mickey Mouse looks by its silhouette. You know how Donald Duck looks by its silhouette. You know how Spider-Man looks by its silhouette, or Batman, or the Penguin, you know. So you determine how you want your character to be, and he will be easy to be spotted in a crowd by his unique features. Yeah.
Another question?
What was your favorite Bible story that you're able to portray in the Action Bible?
You know, I really enjoyed drawing Jesus and the disciples. Really enjoying that because we started with the New Testament and then we went back to the Old Testament. Yeah, and then in the Old Testament, I had a lot of fun drawing David and Goliath. This illustration was based on a black and white that I have in the table. That illustration got me the gig to draw the Action Bible. And then after I got it, they wanted the final process of submitting a 2-page or 1-page tryout thing. So they had the script of David and Goliath. That's another story that I really enjoyed drawing because it was the story that got me, that sealed the deal, you know. And they said, you have 2 weeks to do just pencil page of this story. The next day, I sent them pencil, ink, colored, and lettered. That's how much I was excited about it. And I blew them away. And they said, well, we can't hire you yet because we have to give time to other guys who are trying for the job. But they were so excited about the thing that the art director made a presentation to their boss of him as Goliath with the voices and everything. So we want this guy, but you guys decide, but we want this guy. And they added audio with my drawings. And they never show me the other contestants trying for the job. They said, oh, you don't want to. They were not good.
What tools do you use?
What is what?
What tools?
What tools do I use?
Yeah.
I use a pencil, a blue pencil. I use a dip pen, one of those pens that have like a reservoir on one side, and you dip, and it holds ink. I use repeatographs, magic marker, brush, tablet, stylus, thumb, finger, and I use my wife too.
Yes, sir.
Yes, first off, I loved your talk today. My son is a young artist. He went to the Art Institute and now goes to SME for his master's. But I think what you're telling young people is very important, that if you have a desire and a passion for art, to follow that passion, because a lot of people told my son that it was impossible to do and there was no jobs and this and that, and he met with a lot of resistance from people about doing his passion, and I think it's important for young people to remember that to follow their passions, and like you said, a lot of times you end up going through the back door and good things happen. So thank you very much for your message.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
One more question. Anybody got a good one?
It doesn't have to be a good one. Don't be pressured.
I have one question.
Yeah.
When you were working on the Action Bible, did you try to, since it was such a big project, did you still try to do it in kind of mini goals? Was there like a page count that you had to do every week or a deadline?
Yeah, that's something that's really interesting. It's a very good question. Because I did 27 pages a month of the Action Bible to meet the deadline that they wanted, plus 22 pages a month for the Lone Ranger to meet their deadline.
Wow.
And I did 50 pages a month of Son of Samson to meet their deadline. How in the world can you do that? First of all, I believe in God. That's my blessing. And I believe He gave me a gift, and I had to think. So there's a method of speed that I even pass on to well-known professional artists out there who struggle with deadlines. If you look at a regular comic book, usually one penciler only is able to do 22 pages a month, just the pencilers. And then they hire somebody to ink and to be able to meet the deadline. I penciled and inked all of those. And of course I have a wonderful wife. That counts too. A helper. But the method of completion that I use is this. Instead of spending your whole energy in one page a day, what I do, and I've learned to do, is work on simultaneous pages simultaneously. You take 7 pages and you do the first stage of completion for all 7 pages. Let's say you line up 7 pages and you do the basic structure on all 7. Then you spend your energy spread out. Instead of spending all your energy on 1 page per day, by the time you finish the project, the last page will be horrible. So you spend your energy on laying out the book. I lay out the book completely, like 22 pages, thumbnails of all 22 pages. And then I do 7 pages. Oh, you want me in?
I did. I'm afraid I'm gonna, you're gonna get out of
Okay,
here.
yeah.
A little bit closer, please. All right, you're gonna get out of here, we're not gonna get that. I don't want that to ever be erased.
All right. Well,
How can I figure that
yeah.
out?
Am I making any sense? You do the
absolutely.
stages of completion. You do pencils of 7 pages. But I don't finish the pencils. Do the pencil outlines on 7 pages. And then you go back to the second stage of completion on all 7 pages. Add in the shades and the textures. And you work on 7 pages. And then go back in there, or go to the next 7 to do the first stage of completion, next 7. And then go back to the first block of pages and do outline inks only on 7 pages. Outline this one, outline this one, outline this one. So you see what I'm saying? You're spreading your energy and you're producing 1 stage of completion for more than 1 page a day. That way, you know you will meet your deadline. That's something I teach to professionals over the phone when they struggle with their deadlines. Do you do stage of completion method? Oh, what is that? And then, bing. Wow. And another thing too is that forces you to not procrastinate. And that's something that artists suffer terribly. And they're very perfectionists, and they procrastinate. They take forever to do. Some people show a great portfolio, but it takes forever to do the portfolio. So it's not going to work. If you want to make a living at it, you have to let go of your baby. You have to let go. It's good enough. Let go, go to the next one. So students also, when I told them to fix something, they wanted to fix it. I said, no, don't fix it. Get the knowledge of the mistake that you made on this one and apply that knowledge on the next homework. Don't go back. Let's go forward. And that is the method to meet your deadline, is stages of completion method.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you doing this talk, everybody. I mean, I'm really